everybody? I'm Stella Chung, and this is the Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you may have missed this week. A recently released Soulslike game has been accused of reusing the same exact game animations from Elden Ring, plus Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been reportedly delayed. In the entertainment world, HBO's The Last of Us has confirmed a big fan theory, and Everything Everywhere All at Once has become the most awarded movie ever. My home planet of News World needs me. It's news in time. Okay, this is a long story because there's a lot to unpack here, so bear with me. A new Souls-like game, Bleak Faith, Forsaken by Archangel Studios, has been accused of using animations from Software games, including Elden Ring. There's a compilation put together by an Imgur user detailing the various similar animations, and the evidence is pretty damning. The first shows a side-by-side comparison of an exile soldier in Elden Ring using the pole arm with the Ash of War Stormcaller's sweeping ability, with an enemy in Bleak Faith also using the same exact spin and pole arm sweep cadence. The second clip shows an enemy in Bleak Faith using the moveset of an Abyss Watcher from Dark Souls 3 with the dual sword build, and even looking pretty similar to the boss from Dark Souls. The third piece of evidence shows a character that has similar moves and animations of Millennia, the infamous boss in Elden Ring who could heal on attacks, thrown into Bleak Faith. On the Steam forums, a Bleak Faith developer named Roya addressed the accusation, saying any animations not made in-house are from the Epic Marketplace and have been up there for years, rigged to an Epic skeleton. We've heard this comment before, but you can buy the animations yourself if you want. They are publicly available and have been for a long time. Roya also went on to say they're willing to rework things if there's something amiss going on in the marketplace, but didn't receive a notification from Epic. They also stated the marketplace was used to fill in generic art and was edited to fit the general needs of the art direction, so about 10% of the total game art is from there. Independent Dark Souls mod creator Meow Meredith showcased another series of stolen animations on Twitter that showed a claymore in Bleak Faith using the same animations as the Uchikatana and straight sword from Elden Ring. Meow Meredith quote tweeted their original tweet with the accusations and explained that devs most likely did use the Epic Games Store asset, but that they were not the ones stealing the animations, and that instead it was the creator of the store asset who ripped them. Meow Meredith stated that they did not condone people using his Dark Souls Anim Studio software to aid in exporting animations to include in commercial products or sell them on the Epic Games Store. Hopefully Epic will respond and proceed as needed if these assets were actually stolen and being sold. We'll be keeping an eye on the situation and keep you updated as it develops. In the meantime, let me know which side you're on in the comments below. If you played through the Resident Evil 4 Remake's demo and want more, or just love a challenge to hold you over until the full game is out, this next story might be the thing for you. There's a secret cheat code that lets players unlock the demo exclusive Brutal Mad Chainsaw difficulty. Jigsaw Killer on YouTube showcased how to activate this secret mode. Players have to go to the main menu in the demo with the main story choice highlighted. Then hold L1 and R1, press up, left, down, right, square, triangle, circle, XX on PlayStation. If you're on Xbox, the sequence is to hold both LB and RB, press up, left, down, right, X, Y, B, A, and A. This will bring up the option for the Mad Chainsaw mode, which greatly increases enemy damage and health and changes where they are in the game, while also making them more aggressive. As if that wasn't enough, Dr. Salvador will be equipped with a flaming chainsaw, and there are no checkpoints. So if you die, it's over. If you're up for the challenge, why not try your hand at the Mad Chainsaw mode? It might help kill the time before Resident Evil 4 launches on the 24th this month. This morning, Sony revealed the lineup of new games coming to the premium and extra tiers of PlayStation Plus. The list is substantial, so we'll only focus on a few highlights here. First up on the list is the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection, which includes Uncharted 4: A Thief's End and the follow-up, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Both titles were released for the PS4 back in 2016 and 2017 respectively, but this collection remasters both with enhanced visuals and a better frame rate. Chia is a new adventure game set on an archipelago inspired by the real-life islands of New Caledonia in the South Pacific. Sony describes the game as a, quote, heartfelt adventure where you meet characters inspired by New Caledonian cultures. You play as a young girl named Chia who has the ability to soul jump and take control of any object or animal you find. So, like existential GTA. Final Fantasy Type 0 is an action RPG that was originally released for the PlayStation Portable way back in 2011. It has since received an HD remaster for the PS4 and Xbox One. Fans of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII will dig the fast-paced real-time battles. The game is also part of Square Enix's Fabula Nova Crystallis sub-brand of Final Fantasy games, which includes Final Fantasy XIII, Final Fantasy XV, and the mobile games Final Fantasy Agito and Final Fantasy Awakening. Street Fighter V Championship Edition is the most complete version of Street Fighter V, which brings the roster up to 40 characters and adds more costumes, stages, and more. It's the perfect way to practice your Hadoukens and Hurricane kicks before the newest entry, Street Fighter VI Sonic booms its way into consoles in June. For you adrenaline junkies that just want to blow shit up, Rage 2 is a first-person shooter that's basically post-apocalyptic open-world Doom. IGN gave the game an 8 when it released back in 2019, so if you slept on this one, take it for a spin. For a different first-person flavor, there's Ghostwire Tokyo from Tango Gameworks. Instead of blasting away enemies with a gun, you use paranormal abilities to defeat spirits running amok in modern-day Tokyo. Ghostwire Tokyo was originally a PS5 exclusive, but that's likely to change since its publisher Bethesda was acquired by Microsoft. We'll have more on that in just a sec. That's just a small selection of the games coming to the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium catalog this month. There's also Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Untitled Goose Game, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Rainbow Six Extraction, Neo The World Ends With You, and a few classic PS1 games like Ape Academy 2, Siphon Filter, Dark Mirror, and Ridge Racer Type 4. What new additions to the PlayStation Plus catalog are you going to try? And honestly, what classic PS1 titles do you want to see added? I'm rooting for Dino Crisis. If Capcom won't give us a remake like they're going to do with Resident Evil, might as well let us play the original. As I hinted at a moment ago, Ghostwire Tokyo is no longer a PlayStation exclusive. Tango Gameworks will be releasing the game on Xbox Series X and S and Game Pass on April 12th. This shouldn't come as a surprise considering the game's publisher Bethesda is now a Microsoft subsidiary. This also might add fuel to Sony's argument against the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard, that Sony will lose exclusivity or even be shut out completely from other developers' games. In any case, it would not be surprising if Ghostwire is the last Bethesda game we see released on PlayStation. But fear not, PlayStation-owning Ghostwire fans, a free update is coming to the game the same time it hits Xbox, and the update will be available on all platforms. The Spider's Thread update will include a new game mode, extended story cutscenes, new areas, and more. The Spider's Thread mode puts the player through a gauntlet of 30 stages selected from 120 handcrafted levels. New areas of Tokyo will open up like a middle school area, and each new place will have extra missions and mysteries to uncover. And along with new areas come new enemies like the Invisible, Silent Gaze, and Retribution.
Rocksteady's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League appears to be facing yet another delay. According to a report from Bloomberg, Warner Bros. Has delayed the game from its May 26th release date. This comes after fan backlash from the gameplay shown in Sony's most recent State of Play. The information comes from an anonymous source with direct knowledge of the matter. A new release date has not yet been made public. IGN has reached out to Warner Bros. For comment. The State of Play's big gameplay showcase confirmed that Suicide Squad will be a live service game with a battle pass, an RPG-style gear system, and a required online connection. The game takes place in Rocksteady's Arkhamverse, but it looks like a big departure from the Arkham games that came before it. This isn't the first delay Suicide Squad has been hit with. Last year, Rocksteady pushed the game out of 2022 into the spring 2023 release window. This new delay does pluck it out of a crowded release schedule that had it surrounded by The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Diablo 4, and Final Fantasy 16. But if the delay is only for a few months into the back half of the year, there's not much Rocksteady could change gameplay-wise in that short amount of time. The primary concerns people have with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League are that it's a live service game with all the battle pass and loot grinding that entails, combat has all the characters shooting instead of using their actual powers, and the gameplay we've seen boils down to just shoot the purple things. A pretty far cry from the excellent, story-driven, single-player Batman games Rocksteady has become known and beloved for. We recently ran a poll on IGN asking our audience how excited they are for Suicide Squad, and over 66% said they are not. They're not excited. This game is in big trouble. As soon as we have a new release date for it, we'll update you here at IGN. Moving on. Yesterday, Sony launched version 7 of the PS5 software, which includes support for VRR at 1440p resolution and Discord integration. But the latest firmware update also rolled out several quality of life improvements for PS5 owners. Gamers in the US and UK can now use voice commands to capture gameplay. You can say actions such as, "Hey PlayStation, start recording," to begin capturing gameplay footage. Sony also made it easier for PS5 owners to find their VR games. Using new filters in your game library, you'll be able to filter out and quickly locate all your PSVR and PSVR 2 games you own. The firmware update also makes it easy to transfer PS5 data to another PS5 console by using a local Wi-Fi network or LAN cable. The last noteworthy thing introduced in the new PS5 firmware update is that people who own a game's physical disc can now use the same disc installation to play the digital copy without inserting the disc into their console. I think that makes sense. Your PS5 is ready to be updated now. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is Nintendo's first $70 game, and Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser has shared why Nintendo chose to raise the price of this specific title. Bowser told AP News in a recent interview, "We look at what the game has to offer. I think fans will find this an incredibly full, deeply immersive experience. The price point reflects the type of experience that fans can expect when it comes to playing this particular game. This isn't a price point that we'll necessarily have on all our titles. It's actually a fairly common pricing model either here or in Europe or other parts of the world where the pricing may vary depending on the game itself." Bowser's statement echoes what Nintendo has previously said on the matter. Shortly after revealing Zelda's $70 price tag, Nintendo confirmed that it determines, quote, "the suggested retail price for any Nintendo product on a case-by-case basis." Tears of the Kingdom is currently the only $70 game on Nintendo's slate, as the upcoming Bayonetta Origins and Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp are listed for $60. Even Pikmin 4, which launches after Zelda, will retail for $60. Along with the highest price tag, Tears also boasts the largest file size of any first-party Nintendo Switch game. We will finally get to see if the sequel to Breath of the Wild is worth that extra $10 when it arrives on May 12th. Moving on, IO Interactive is putting its Hitman franchise on hiatus as it focuses on its James Bond game instead. As reported by PC Gamer, IO Interactive Chief Creative Officer Christian Elverdam told Eurogamer that it might be a while before fans get another major entry, though Hitman World of Assassination will continue to be updated. He said, "Right now a major new Hitman game, that's a little bit on hiatus, as we're building another Agent Fantasy that's also taking up a lot of our time. But obviously we'll come back to beloved Agent 47, he's still very much in the heart of this company." IO Interactive recently rebranded Hitman 3 as World of Assassination, folding all previous Hitman trilogy levels into the game and also launching the freelance roguelike mode. The developer still has plans to support the game, even if it isn't working on a full sequel just yet. This James Bond game was announced back in 2020. Very little has been revealed about it since, however. We do know it will have an original story. It will be the first new James Bond video game in over a decade.
Fortnite patching in a bunch of wacky stuff to mark a new season might be the same kind of no-duh news as the sky being blue or water being wet, but the latest update has some pretty cool new bells and whistles. Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 2, officially titled Mega, gives the island a cyberpunk Neo-Tokyo overhaul, adding an entire neon metropolis in one corner of the map full of grind rails players can use to zip around, and there are also the rogue street bikes or nitro drifter sports cars. And yet another anime gets the Fortnite treatment, and this season's big special guest star is Attack on Titan's Eren Yeager, who'll be showing up later on as a skin along with a bunch of other cosmetics based on the hit anime. Better yet, Attack on Titan's omnidirectional mobility gear is being added as a playable pickup, which should make for some fun traversal. There are also new biomes, reality augments, and the usual slew of cosmetics to unlock. So if you've ever wanted to make a dinosaur in a tracksuit, do an Akira slide, shoot Naruto in the head, douse yourself in energy drinks, and then perform a couple of popular dance moves, I'm pretty sure Fortnite's the only game that lets you do that. It's time to take a quick break. When we come back, Zack Snyder is teasing a potential DCU Justice League project. Plus, a major Last of Us fan theory has just been confirmed by the HBO show. See you in a bit. Welcome back. IGN did the math and broke the news that Everything Everywhere All at Once is now the most awarded movie ever. But before that, now that the final episode of HBO's The Last of Us Season 1 is out, a major fan theory has been confirmed by the show. Let's find out some more.
Now, there's a massive theory fans have been speculating about The Last of Us, and with this now being confirmed by the hit HBO season finale, we figured we'd explore it a bit further. But it'll likely be considered spoilers, so if you haven't seen it just yet, now's the time to hop off and check out one of our other videos. Otherwise, let's dive right on in. So with The Last of Us video game never actually going into any detail about Ellie's immunity or revealing to the players how she became immune, The Last of Us season finale confirms a long-running fan theory as we meet Ellie's mom, Anna. Now, Anna is played by Ashley Johnson, who fans will undoubtedly recognize as the voice of Ellie in The Last of Us video games. Now, anyway, Anna is bitten by an infected while still pregnant with Ellie, who she gives birth to while her umbilical cord is still connected. Now, this means that Anna's infected blood is now coursing through baby Ellie. Now, this is something gamers never saw, nor was it ever alluded to in The Last of Us games. Now, fans did, however, remark on the letter Ellie's mom left for her, which can be found in the game, with the key line that ignited the fan community to theorize what happened, reading, quote, "You're not even a day old, and holding you is the most incredible thing I've done in my life. A life that is about to get cut a little short." Now, when I read that particular letter, I immediately thought that Ellie's mom was infected while pregnant with her, similar to many fan theories that have been circulating the internet. Now, Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin did an amazing job of showing The Last of Us fans exactly what happened, bringing that theory into reality. But the show did, in fact, change a few things regarding Ellie's immunity. Now, Marlene, Anna's friend who saved Ellie, has very vague reasoning as to why Ellie is immune in the video game. But given that we're shown how Ellie is immune in the HBO series, Marlene goes into much more detail, explaining that their doctor believes that the cordyceps have grown with Ellie. And as such, it produced a chemical messenger that makes the cordyceps think that Ellie is in fact a cordyceps herself, making her immune. Now, there's a stark difference from the video game and TV series as to why Marlene is overseeing Ellie. Now, in the game, it's more so due to Marlene's relationship with Ellie's mom, but in the HBO series, it's due to her suspecting Ellie's immunity might be the key to a cure for the infection. Now, when you think about Ellie's immunity, how she became immune, you might wonder if it could be replicated in other pregnant women. Now, surely Ellie's not the only person who suffered such a situation in the world in The Last of Us. Now, if you think about real-world possibilities regarding immunity, there's so many other genetic variables that could lead to someone being immune to a disease. But explaining that would definitely overcomplicate the story from a narrative perspective. Now, it was definitely nice getting some sort of confirmation as to how Ellie became immune. Now, with Ellie's voice actor making an appearance in HBO's The Last of Us, her nemesis in The Last of Us Part 2 made an appearance in the season finale of the show. Now, The Last of Us Part 2's Laura Bailey made a cameo appearance in the final episode of the season. Now, you might know Laura as the voice actor for Abby in the sequel to the Naughty Dog video game. Now, she was one of the nurses in the hospital scene on the show, which is kind of fitting as she voiced one of the nurses in the original Last of Us video game. Now, as for if she'll be back in season 2 of The Last of Us, Craig Mazin told the Wrap, quote, "I mean, she's got a mask on, so we can make her anything we want in the next season." Well, it sounds like there's plans to bring Laura Bailey back in season 2 of The Last of Us. Anyways, and speaking of seasons, Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin are apparently working on a 3rd season already. Now, while speaking with GQ Mag about the scope of adapting Part 2, the two confirmed that the live-action adaptation will mirror its video game counterpart in scale. Now, Druckmann said, quote, "It's more than 1 season," with Craig Mazin following up by saying, quote, "You have noted correctly that we will not say how many, but more than 1 is factually correct. So while we may not know exactly how many seasons Part 2 will consist of, it can be assumed that it'll be at least 2 seasons long. And honestly, 3 seasons of The Last of Us sounds about right. Definitely don't want to prolong things more than you really need to for a show like this." Now, what is Zack Snyder planning? Now, that's the question a lot of DC fans are asking after the Justice League director tweeted out this video with the hashtag full circle. Now, take a quick look and let's come back and talk about it.
April 28th, 29th, and 30th. Save the date.
So that ominous voice is likely Darkseid, who will possibly be delivering some sort of message regarding the Snyderverse and future plans in the DCU. Now, James Gunn and Peter Safran already revealed their plans for Chapter 1 of the DCU, which made no mention of Darkseid. Now, while we can only speculate at this moment what the 3-day reveal will be, it's probably a safe assumption that it won't be film-related. Now, DC Comics Chief Officer Kim Lee mentioned at San Diego Comic-Con in 2022 that the Snyder Cut is likely the last entry in Snyder's film franchise. But that was before Gunn and Safran stepped in, so who knows what type of deals were brokered since then. Now, with the recent shakeups at DC Studios by both Gunn and Safran, such as Henry Cavill no longer returning as Superman, another Zack Snyder-led film seems a bit far-fetched. Now, some are speculating that maybe it'll be a short comic run penned by the director to wrap up his DCEU story regarding the villain, or maybe an animated movie. Now, this could be what he meant when he tweeted out "Full Circle." Now, as many of you know, Darkseid was the main villain in 2021 Snyder Cut of Justice League, one of the new gods that's the sole ruler of Apocalypse. And with this cryptic tweet from Zack Snyder, maybe we'll see what he initially had planned laid out come April. Now, you may remember back in 2021, Zack Snyder had an interview with Vanity Fair where he discussed in detail what his Snyderverse was meant to be. Now, Snyder's take on the Justice League was originally planned as a 5-part arc, and the Snyder Cut of Justice League was only the 3rd part of the overarching story. Now, speaking with Vanity Fair, he said, quote, "There were 2 more episodes of the Justice League to be shot." And when talking about his intentions of including his intended story in a book, Snyder went on to say how he enlisted legendary comic book artist Jim Lee. Quote, "Jim Lee had done some drawings for me of the entire thing. The entire pantheon all the way to the new Batman after Batman dies." Now, in that very interview, that last line could be perceived as a bit of a spoiler. Apparently, in his vision of the Justice League trilogy, Ben Affleck's Batman dies. Now, he also went on to further details about those nightmares Bruce was having about the future, which would have been made a reality further on if he'd been able to continue his Justice League story. So I think we might have some sort of an idea as to what the announcement might be come April 28th through the 30th. Like maybe that collaboration with artist Jim Lee will see the light of day, wrapping up the final 2 chapters Zack Snyder had planned for his version of the Justice League. That's definitely a lot cheaper than, forking over millions of dollars to make a movie with A-list celebrities and special effects. Now, why it'll take 3 days for this transmission is beyond me, but whatever they have planned, it'll surely satisfy, possibly surprise fans of the Snyderverse. Another surprise for DC fans is the reveal of Dark Flash in the upcoming Flash movie. Now, we get this by way of McFarlane Toys, which released images of official merch for the DC movie. This is also the first announcement of the Dark Flash appearing in the Flash film. Now, for those unfamiliar, Dark Flash is an alternate timeline version of the Flash formed after not being able to save Linda Park from being killed by Cobra. Because of it, the Dark Flash became brutal in the way he dealt with bad guys, and upon crossing paths with the main timeline's Wally West and Linda Park, he travels to their timeline and assumes the role of Wally West as the Flash. So it's likely we might see something similar play out regarding the upcoming film coming in June. Everything Everywhere All at Once is making historical wins well before 2023's Oscars. Now, we here at IGN did the breakdown and came to the conclusion that the A24 film is now the most awarded movie of all time with 158 awards to date. Now, Everything Everywhere All at Once has dethroned the previous holder of that title, The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Now, the Peter Jackson-directed movie earned a total of 101 awards according to our breakdown. Now, the tally is a combination of what we here at IGN noticed from major critics organizations like the SAG Awards, Golden Globes, and the Indie Spirits. And if you're a bit of a math nerd like us here and wondering why your tallied numbers might look a little bit different from ours, it's because not every critics org was taken into account. Only the major ones. Now, even if we did take every single one of the critics organizations or media outlets' best ofs into consideration, Everything Everywhere All at Once would still outperform the competition. We also wanted to give the reigning champ, Return of the King, a fair shot, so we only counted those awards organizations that recognize both films, excluding organizations that didn't exist at the time Peter Jackson's film was receiving such praise. You can check out this Excel spreadsheet we did here on the screen if you want to see how we tallied everything. Now, feel free to pause the video to dive further into the numbers. Now, Everything Everywhere All at Once was a solid film, and with 11 Oscar nominations, it'll surely win big at the Academy Awards. Now, in other news, rapper 50 Cent is developing a new series with Paramount Plus called Vice City. And no, it's not related to the famed Rockstar Games title of the same name. Now, Deadline reported the exclusive giving the synopsis of Vice City, a working title by the way, as a show that'll follow 3 friends who return to their home in Miami after being dishonorably discharged in the military. Now, the 3 partner with a Colombian drug lord, as you do, and form a heist crew to achieve that American dream. That kind of sounds like Vice City Stories to me. Now, it would be great to see Victor Vance and Lance Vance in live action, doing that Lance Vance dance. Y'all remember that? Yeah. Anyways, before this news broke, 50 Cent made a few social media posts talking about Vice City, which got the internet speculating if this was related to GTA 6. Now, he's since deleted those posts, likely due to Rockstar Games interfering, but it's likely the two Vice City stories are unrelated, even though it'd be pretty damn dope to see GTA in live action. And finally, you gotta give it up to Amazon for saving the once canceled Batman Caped Crusader series. Now, one of the many canned animated shows that were slated to premiere on HBO Max, Amazon picked up the show for a 2-season order on Prime Video. The series sees executive producers J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves joining forces with Batman the Animated Series co-creator Bruce Timm, making a return to form in storytelling made famous by the classic Batman series. The news of Batman Caped Crusader being canceled before seeing the light of day on HBO Max was devastating to many fans of The Dark Knight. Now, it's good to see the Bats having a second chance on streaming at Prime Video.
I'm Stella Chung, and that was your weekly fix. We'll be back here next Saturday with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news of the week. See you then.